And just out of curiosity, from your standpoint, like how effective do you feel this is in terms of long term usage? Like, do you think this will be effective for years to come? Is it a short term? Is it a long term? What is your take on that?
Well, look, I've wanted for a long time. I filed a patent on it, a half a decade ago. But I wanted to make the formula that I have, which is basically a drink, and there's two different versions of it. One more elaborate, the one that I developed for my mom is Leap to Be Fit, and the other one is just the macronutrient side of the formula with a couple of cofactors. But at the end, this is something that should be food. We're running over 50% deficiency in protein production in the world. Okay, so that means that more than 50% of the people on this planet are running a deficiency in the number one nutrient that humans need to thrive. And this is something that also affects the planet. Okay. Now, traditionally, I'm a tree hugger. I'm a hippie from the old days, and I believe in justice and taking care of nature and the world. And, a lot of things have become politicized and all the corruption in the media has such a big influence on propaganda being really espoused. And, I'll give you one example. Became a political thing in the last or in previous elections before that is climate change. Well, climate change. Well, there's a real simple physical explanation as to why climate change occurs. Normally, it occurs in nature by itself, but we've accelerated it. And how did we do that? Well, we've taken literally billions or trillions of tons out of the earth, that mass that's being extracted out of the earth and pulverized into the atmosphere so that the earth is actually lighter now. Okay. Now, probably it's turning a little faster, I would say, maybe. I don't know what forces are at play, but, this has an effect. And the climate change, we're seeing it. Yeah, there's no denying it, really. But, the knee jerk reaction is, oh, let's jump, let's trash that, let's start it with something new. Well, that's not practical. To go to electric vehicles right away and stop drilling for oil, we have to find a way forward. And, what survival on this planet is going to require some meaningful thought. And when people jump from one thing to the other without knowing the consequence and without knowing what the disadvantages are based on the new technology, and then basically causing all kinds of havoc, that's not a viable way of doing things. We need to transition. And I've been talking about this since the 70s. So, the transition hasn't occurred, and then now it's everybody's in a hurry. Oh, we got to do this. Well, the 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 horse is already out of the barn, uh, but we have to live with it. These are consequences, same as the damage caused by the food supply, which is ever more toxic. And, I have a private member group where I try to help people that are really sick. And, the incidences of so many different degenerative and deadly diseases is increasing dramatically. And, this is finally being addressed now. But I'm afraid that the big industries, which basically benefit and profit from this, of course, they say that they're obligated. It's their obligation to make the most profit for their companies. Well, I wonder if illegal things and crimes against humanity and taking technologies off the market that are beneficial for mankind don't constitute enough to stop them from doing that. And like I said, I kind of worked with a lot of companies that had breakthrough technologies. They all ended up away. And I'm sure there are stem cell technologies and other technologies that have gone the same way. So It would be good if we finally, take a sober look, and, if we don't want to buy into the depopulation agenda of some of these super rich people who think they can survive us, uh, you know, we really need to make some changes in this world. And I
Right.
think shedding light is the best disinfectant that we can have. I have evidence of crimes against humanity enough. Okay, I have evidence. I can prove it, and people can see it's true. It's not some whack job, conspiracy theorist who's coming up with this. But it's too dangerous at this point for me to disclose it because, I know what they do with people who blow the whistle. They do away with them,
Right.
So eventually I hope this will come out. So, but the product itself was intended as a food, as a replacement for protein. Maybe we can reduce, this drive for more food production has led the industry to do more and more damage to the planet, to the plants, to the animals, and to us. Okay,
Mm,
so let's rethink food for a minute. Yes, we don't have enough protein production capability to feed an ever growing population, but we also know from history that once a civilization stops growing, it goes extinct. So we want to keep uh, 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 living, and there is no reason that we can't nourish ourselves and do that without the dramatic impact in a lot better way, live longer lives and have productivity. Everybody has their talents, and even when AI comes in and eliminates a lot of jobs with robotics, etc., I hope that mankind transitions over to trying to help people to develop their talents and go in directions that they haven't gone before. So that's kind of the nutcase here. Now making amino acids is a process of fermentation with bacteria and doesn't have an impact as it does growing crops and spraying poisons on them and then feeding that garbage to humans and to the animals that we then eat that are then poisoned as well. And, this is a cycle we need to break if we want to live long and prosper. And that's
right.
actually what LEAP stands for. It's live, evolve, and prosper.
That's a very interesting. I like that title.